Learning Space friends, my name is Miss Marisha and I'm your facilitator for Learning Spaces today. Today we're going to do a story walk for toddlers in this lovely book called Discovering Roads. Now in this book, we're going to find that our friend Shay is taking her first cross-country trip with her Nana and her dad. And what does cross-country mean? It means that she is going to be traveling from one side of the United States all the way to the other. And in this book, she is going to go to San Francisco, California. Now the cool thing is she's going to learn a lot about roads and bridges along the way. So the first bridge she finds as her family is leaving from Michigan is what's called a covered bridge. A covered bridge is where the top has a cover on it as you cross over the water. She's never seen a covered bridge before, and you don't see a lot of covered bridges anymore, but it's really cool, isn't it? Next, they get to Chicago, Illinois, and they find what's called a circle interchange. Now, a circle interchange is much bigger than that covered bridge, right? You see all these streets and these roads, and then you see this part right here that kind of looks like a little bit of a circle. That's so that as they're traveling on the road and they want to go from one distance and say they want to go in the opposite direction, and all that traffic, they have to go on what's called the Interchange Circle. So you see right here, this little green car, this is Shay and her Nana and her dad. And they're on the interchange going around all this big circle with all of this traffic. Let's see what else she finds. Check this out. When they leave from Illinois, they go to Missouri, and she finds what's called a Chain of Rocks bridge. Now the cool thing about this bridge is, first of all, it doesn't go straight across the water. It goes out at an angle, and then it turns and it comes back. And the reason why they built the bridge like that was so that the boats could have a safe way to get underneath the bridge. Now, when this bridge was first built, cars could drive across it, but now, not anymore. It's a little too old for that. So now they just use the Chain of Rocks bridge as a pedestrian bridge, which is where people can get up and walk across. And then they built a new bridge that's a bit bigger and it allows the cars to pass. Cool, huh? Now let's see what else we can find. This is called the Eisenhower Tunnel. She found this when they were in Colorado. Now the cool thing about the Eisenhower Tunnel is that it actually goes through a mountain. They built it that way so that the cars could save time going to where they need to go. Because if the cars had to go across roads all over this mountain, it would take them a whole hour to get from one side to the other. But because they've got this bridge that goes through the mountain, they got to turn on their lights. If you can see it, you see this light, this car coming out of the bridge, it's got its little lights on. And here they are, they're about to go into the bridge, so they're going to turn their lights on. But the cool thing is, if they go straight through that tunnel underneath all that mountain, it only takes them 5 minutes. Nice, right? Not an hour to go over, but 5 minutes to go through. I think that's a really cool bridge. Or tunnel. Oh my goodness. Now this is in Utah. This is called the Red Canyon. Now out there in Utah, there's miles and miles of roads and lots of rocky mountains and canyons. Well, here they put a road that goes through this big old piece of rock. Isn't that cool? So they have the Red Canyon where they put a man-made hole right there, go through the rock, and that way you don't have to go around it to the other side. Really cool. Oh wow, and then this is a long stretch of desert. Nothing but straight road. There's not too many mountains. Well, then you can kind of see the mountains, but they're way off on the side. But you see how there's like no grass on the side? There's just what? You know what these are called? Cactus. This is a cactus plant. So all you have is all this flat ground with cactus not any grass, just cactus and dirt, and the road that is so hot that it has all these little cracks and crevices in the road because it gets hot in the daytime and cold at night. That's a long way out. Let's see what else we have. Then they finally get to San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge. Look at that big, huge bridge. It is so big that if you look, the cars are teeny tiny. And look, that's where they are, way over there. Now the cool thing about this bridge is it's so big and over so much water that they got boats that come through. They actually painted the metal on here to be orange so that when it's foggy, all the boats and the boat captains coming through will be able to see the bridge and they don't run into it by accident. Then they finally get to where they're going in San Francisco, and look, Lombard Street. Now this is a really cool street. If I could go to San Francisco, I want to ride on this street. It's called Lombard Street, and the cool thing about this street is it doesn't go straight, it's a zigzag. So they got to go this way and that way and zigzag, 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 and here they are. They're just getting ready to start their trip down the zigzag street. But they made it that way because it's so hilly that you can't just go straight down the hill. It might not be too safe. So they made this street to go in zigzags to make people go slower and safer down the street. And they got to where they were going, so that is the end. So that is it for us learning about the different types of roads that you can find while you're driving down the street. Bye! Hi Learning Space friends, this is Miss Marisha, your facilitator for Learning Spaces, and today we are going to do vocabulary words for our pre-K friends. And we're going to do it out of this book, Discovering Roads. Now this is so cool because we're going to learn a lot about roads as we talk about the different vocabulary words. So first of all, we have road trip. What is a road trip? Well, a road trip is when you get in your car and you drive from one place to another. Sometimes it can be a short road trip, sometimes it can be a really long road trip. And as we see in this book for our friend Shay, her and her Nana and her dad are going on a really long cross-country road trip. Let's see what other words we can discover. Have you ever heard the term hit the road? You ever heard mom and dad say that before? Well, hit the road is exactly what it means. You're going to get in your car, or you're going to ride the bus or your bicycle or whatever you're getting. You're moving yourself from one place to another and you're going to hit the road and go on your trip. Let's see. Next we have covered. What does it mean when something is covered? It means that the top has something across it. There's no open space over top. It's just covered. So that's what it means when it's covered. And in this case, Shay got to see a covered bridge. So let's see what else we have. Elevated highway. Ooh, that's a big one. I bet if you've been out with your mom or your dad, you've seen an elevated highway if you've been in the city. Now the cool thing about an elevated highway is instead of it being flat and level like regular streets, an elevated highway takes you up and over a big long bridge, kind of like a bridge, or in this case it's an interchange, but it takes you high up off the ground. And if you're brave enough, not like me because I'm a little scared of heights, but if you're brave enough, you look out your window, you can look down and see all the cars down below. Not for the faint of heart. Let's see, another word is vehicles. Do you know what a vehicle is? A vehicle is pretty much the vehicle that you ride in. It could be a taxi cab, it could be a car, pretty much like I said, anywhere, anything to get you from point A to point B, from one point to another without you having to walk. Congested. Oh, mom and dad know what congested means on the highway. Congested is, you see how you got all these cars on this street? Congested is if all the cars stop moving. Ugh, mom and dad don't like that. Because then you don't get to go anywhere. You move really, really slow. But sometimes that's how it has to be when there's a lot of cars on the road. Which is what this is the next thing called a traffic jam. Traffic jam, again, is right there with the congested. A traffic jam is when all the cars come to a stop and you're stuck. But if you look at it this way, it's always a good chance to look at your surroundings because you can actually look out the window and see what's going on around you. Let's see. Next, our word is pedestrian. Do you know what a pedestrian is? A pedestrian is a person who's not in a car riding, and you're not on a bicycle or roller skates or anything like that that makes you move faster. You're just walking. And in this picture, when Shay and her family saw the Chain of Rocks Bridge, it was a pedestrian bridge where people walk across. Because you see, there's no cars, just people. All right, our next word is headlights. Yes, headlights are the most important, one of the most important things on your car because they allow you to see the road at night. Well, not you, your mom and dad, to see the road at night when they're driving or when it's raining or a little dark or first thing in the morning when the sun is not all the way out yet. And in this picture, you can see this, in this case, the car was coming out of the Eisenhower Tunnel, which it was real dark because we had to drive through some mountains to go through it. But you had to have your lights on in order to see where you were going or else it would not be safe. Let's see, what is our next word? Oh, here's a good one. Arches. What is an arch? An arch is something that goes up and over top of something else but leaves some space in between for you to come through. And in this case, there is an arch on the Red Canyon's mountain that they get to drive through. I think it's really good, really cool. And then what is a rock formation? Really big rocks. And in this case, as you see, the rock is so huge, nobody can move it out of the way so that cars can drive by. They had to put a hole in the middle of the rock so the cars could go through because that thing is not moving. Another word is iron. And iron is a special material that can be contained and found in rocks. In this particular case, that's what is found in this big formation, this big rock formation. It's got iron in it. And what does iron do? It rusts. And rust is what turns the rocks to the colors of orange, brown, and a little bit of pink. Neat, right? Let's see. We got a few more words. Surface. What is surface? Surface is something that covers something. So in this particular case, they're driving out in the desert, and the desert is nothing but lots of dry land with no grass and just cactus. So in this case, they've covered that part of the road with concrete so that the cars can drive across. And the thing about this is it is so hot out there that the concrete cracks in the daytime. Look at the sun, because the sun is out there, right? Look how big it is, so you know it's hot. It makes the road get cracks in it. Wow. Another word, isolated. Isolated means to be alone. And that's exactly what's going on in this picture. They are isolated because you know in the other picture there were lots of cars and traffic jams. Not right here. It is just wide open space and they are isolated or all alone. Our next word is fog. Do you know what fog is? Fog is like really low-hanging clouds. So have you ever gotten up in the morning and you looked outside, and instead of the sun outside shining, all you see is it looks kind of dark and gloomy and you can't really see too far? That's what's called fog. And in this case, at the Golden Gate Bridge, it gets to be foggy out there, so they painted the Golden Gate Bridge orange so that the ship's captains right here can see the bridge as they're coming through and it's foggy, and that way they don't have any accidents and wreck the ship. Next word, crooked. Do you know what crooked means? Crooked is when something is not straight. So you know when something is straight, it goes like this. Just a straight line. But when something is crooked, it can do like this. It's not that easy to go through. With this picture, we see a crooked street. Because you see the other streets which are straight. This one is going zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig, zag, zig. Wow, there's not a lot of streets that goes like that. So, here, this one is called Lombard Street. It's a very unique street. And we have another word called one-way street. A one-way street is when cars can only go in one direction. You can't have cars that come in the opposite direction. You can't do that. So as you see, you don't see any cars going up Lombard Street. Everybody's coming down in one direction. And that, my friends, are all of the words to be found in our Discovering Roads. I hope you learned something fun today. Until the next time, happy learning. Bye.